All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Native MMA Radio. My name is Randall Folks, and I am your host. My co-host, Walid Kandusi, is over there in France. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. If you guys have not already at this time, please like and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Click the notification bell so you get updates on everything that we pop up. We constantly push out content. We probably get at least 2 videos a week. But yeah, right now we're going to discuss UFC Fight Night. Anthony Smith for Aleksandar Rakic. It was a pretty good fight, back and forth. Rakic pretty much got the better of the entire night. In my opinion, I was a little bit bummed that it wasn't 5 rounds. I feel like they should always be 5 rounds. I don't care if it's like a last minute change. Make it 5 rounds, goddammit.
I agree with you. It should be a 5 round. I talked about about even having the idea of having the main event and the co-main event going 5 round.
Yes.
So I think
that's another reason too. If they were already preparing for a 5 round fight, then it would have been no problem for them to, because this originally was not the main event. Holly Holmes was originally supposed to face Irene Aldana on this card. That fell through. Here we had Rakic versus Smith. A great main event nonetheless. It was originally scheduled to be the co-main though. But at the end of the day, it was still very good. Neil Magny looked impressive. Grasso as well. Ricardo Lamas looked like he was back from the dead, man. He looked great. Let's jump on the very beginning of this card. Mallory Martin versus Hannah Cifers. And it really started, it was an interesting fight. Round 1 was all for Hannah Cifers. She went in there, she drops Martin with the right hook, slams Martin. Eventually, Martin pulls guard, which is probably the best thing she could have done at that point. She pretty much just made it through the rest of that round. And then pretty much in round 2, it seemed like she, great corner advice. They told her to take it to the ground. Martin works Cifers up against the fence at the very early of the round, takes her down. She starts throwing some vicious ground and pound, and then it finds a rear naked choke, submits Hannah Cifers 1 minute and 33 seconds into the second round. It was a great performance. What did you think from the come from behind performance by Mallory Martin?
Well, it was impressive for sure. In fact, she got the performance of the night.
It looked like she was out.
Yeah, and she got the performance of the night. Just want to point out that this is the 3rd card with a performance of the night or whatever in the first fights of the card, which is crazy, and this is why people need to watch the whole card, not just the main card.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. The first fight of the night really sets the tone, and this fight did just that. And it really set the tone for the entire prelims. The prelims were great, up and down.
Right.
The next fight, Polyana Viana versus Emily Whitmire. Emily Whitmire looked very impressive, but it was a little too late. For Miss Polyana Viana is so good, and her jiu-jitsu is just top level. Emily Whitmire was the one that actually initiated the takedown in the first round, but Polyana was able to, work while she was in full guard, some huge elbows just dropping from her back onto Emily's face. It was beautiful. She isolates one arm. She ends up throwing her legs up, getting the opposite arm, submitting Emily in a beautiful arm bar 1 minute and 53 seconds into the first round. I thought it was super impressive how she isolated one arm and attacked the other. What was the biggest takeaway for you for that fight?
For me, it was how quickly the fight went to the ground and how she could get that armbar. It is in this early in these prelims. If you are a fan of jiu-jitsu, I believe that you got your money, because, dude, 4 fights, 4 submissions on a roll. I'm not sure if it's even happened before.
I'm not too sure, especially the way they happened. It was just beautiful performance, one after the other. Sean Brady up next against Christian Aguilar. Round 1, it seemed like they were both going back and forth, but Brady was clearly, getting the better of the exchanges. Eventually, he gets the takedown, finishes the round with some beautiful ground and pound. They go back to the corners. And in round 2, within the first minute, Brady lands the double leg and pretty much gets Aguilar in one of the deepest guillotines I've seen in a very long time. And he put him to sleep, winning the fight 1 minute and 47 seconds into the second round. For you, I thought, I believe it was you picked this fight. It was one of those fights that you might not know, but you should know that you picked later. Sean Brady looked amazing, and he really, really deserved that performance of the night bonus.
Exactly, and I liked how he ended the first round strongly So it made the second round, even the beginning of the second round, easy for him. That's why I feel like even in those last 10 seconds, sometimes you see fighter in the first round like they don't do anything, like they just standing up, they waiting. No, you need to end the rounds strong because for once the judges they have like a little, you know, they don't have a big memory. So if you end the round, if you end the round good, usually you get the round. So even in those last seconds, those last like 20, 30, 40 seconds, you need to go strong because it can make your fight much easier. And that's what he did. The second round, like you said, took him to the ground and just did what he had to do. And Sean Brady, 13-0, impressive. I'm really excited to see what's next for him.
Hear me out. Mike Perry versus Sean Brady.
I would love to see that.
Beautiful fight. Beautiful. Yeah. I want to see him against somebody like a brawler like that. Even if Ponzinibbio decides he wants to come back, I think him versus Ponzinibbio is a great matchup. I can't wait to see Sean Brady. The dude has looked phenomenal since he's joined the UFC. Like you said earlier, Waleed, completely undefeated. Let's look at the numbers real quick. Significant strikes landed, 34. A lot of those were just vicious ground and pound. He got those 2 takedowns, which were beautiful, and it really solidified that fight for him. Even if he, let the fight go on, he really dominated those 2 rounds enough to win the judges' scorecards. But obviously, looking for the finish at all times. That guillotine choke from Mount, though, super impressive.
Impressive, brother. Listen, we are like I said a little bit earlier. This prelims, we had like 4 submissions. It was crazy, really.
Yeah, and then obviously, here's the next one. Alex Caceres goes in there and, makes it look easy against the debuting fighter, Austin Springer. Austin Springer obviously taking this fight on short notice. I believe it was a couple of days' notice. The fight starts standing. Alex gets the better of the exchanges like he did in the Chase Hooper fight. He's looked very impressive with his standing as of late. I feel like ever since he's gone to Florida, you've seen him take that extra leap, to really be successful in this division. So he looks beautiful doing it. He actually stunned Springer with a huge head kick for a split second in that fight. Alex hits Austin with some huge body shots, making Springer shoot. Once Springer shot, it was pretty much downhill from there. Alex sprawls, takes his back, gets the body triangle super quick, secures a rear naked choke, submits Springer 3 minutes and 36 seconds into the first round. Super impressive victory for Bruce Leroy. He didn't really even seem like he broke a sweat.
Yeah, he's still 32. And listen, ever since he joined the UFC, this is the first time ever he's on a 3-fight winning streak, which is impressive because he's the kind of guy that everybody thought that one day, sooner or later, he will get cut. Well, he's shutting people up and, impressive. I'm very impressed by him. His performance against Chase Hooper was amazing. And this time also it was amazing. Like you said, it looks easy for him. Well, I'm not sure what's next for him. What do you think is next for him?
Okay, so he was originally supposed to face Gigi. I'm going to mess up Gigi's name. It's like Karchuki.
It was Giga, right?
Giga. Yeah. So I would love to see that fight be rescheduled. Yeah. I think that's the perfect matchup for him right now. And I feel like if he can get a win against that, you got to give him a top-ranked opponent, somebody within that top 10. He's really proven himself. A 4-fight winning streak, you can't get an opponent in the top 10, you're crazy, especially when you already have a name and notoriety behind you like Bruce Leroy does. Brendan Schaub talked about this earlier, and I want to talk about it real quick just because it segues perfectly from this guy. He talked about the Contender Series now taking over in toughness. Kind of needs to move out of the way. And I want to discuss something, especially if you're a young fighter thinking about going into these opportunities. I want you to look at the social media presence that an average person from the Contender Series gets. They don't have a whole lot of people on their followings. The big name guys, of course, always have a lot of followings. Now, every single tough guy, even the small name guys, they all have a big following. You got to understand, these tough guys are being seen week in and week out for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, maybe. Yeah. You're only getting seen for a couple hours on the Contender Series. All I'm saying is, tough may be the longer road to the contract, but when it comes to making a brand for yourself and as a fighter, I feel like that's important for you guys to do. I feel like the Ultimate Fighter might be the better route.
Well, it's different, because tough. There's that whole environment where you feel like you are following the fighters, and you are living the life with them. You are
You get
seeing
to
how
know them.
exactly, which is the perfect way to like a person and to dislike a person like you dislike Tony Ferguson. So
Exactly.
it's the perfect way to discover the person, how he thinks. It's because when you see interviews, it's always the same. Yeah, I just want to go strong, to go hard, whatever. It's a copy paste. Every fighter have the same things. They say the fucking same thing every time. Tough is different because you see them training, you see them even breaking down sometimes. You see them like almost crying sometimes. You see them how hard they train. You see
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, I agree with you.
And a lot of them do, especially when they start thinking about their kids and stuff. A lot of them have to take
Yeah.
time away from their families. A lot of time, and they can't contact their kids and they can't contact their wives, and it takes a toll on an individual. But it brings out the best in some of the fighters, and I really feel like at the end of the day, build your brand better than the Contender Series would. Just
Well, I
my
feel like
thought.
yeah, maybe that's what we needed. Maybe we needed a little break from Tough to see how great actually Tough
To
was.
appreciate it.
Exactly, like really appreciate it. And now I feel like we MMA fans really needs to see again Tough.
Now, Alicio de Chirico took on
Yeah.
Zach Cummings. It was a beautiful back and forth fight. I thought it was super even, if you ask me. The significant
Yeah.
strikes landed between the two individuals were 53 and 54. So just crazy. Round one, it was back and forth. Both guys landing bigger punches. In my opinion, I feel like Jericho landed with more power. Then you go to round two. Again, similar back and forth. This time, it seemed like Cummings was getting the better end of Jericho towards the end of the round. And again, in round three, very possibly being 1-1 going into the round. Alexico is throwing and landing huge combinations. Cummings is landing very good one shot at a time, though, but he's landing big strikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had his jab was very working for him
Powerful.
very well
Yeah.
in the third round. And then at the end of the round, which I really think won him the entire fight, Cummings lands a huge head kick and drops Jericho. You could tell Jericho was super hurt. He tried to get back up. He was really wobbly. If there was 10 seconds left on the clock, I feel like Cummings would have had a finish. He ends up squeaking out the unanimous decision victory. Very good fight. What did you think of the performance by these two gentlemen?
So before that knockdown, I thought that maybe Alessio could have won the fight. But like you
Yes.
said, that knockdown really settled the thing. And yeah, exactly. That's like I said earlier, you need to end every round strong, and this is what he did.
So the judges seen it 27-30, 28-29, 28-29. I've seen it as 28-29 as well.
Yeah.
Super, super close. It really came down to the wire with these two. Great fight. Zach Cummings looked amazing. He's looked very impressive since he's joined that middleweight division.
Yeah, and he's very dangerous because let me tell you something. Alessio Di Chirico is not an easy fight, and
No.
he really. It was a tough fight because, like you said, it was very close fight. But that knockdown,
They
he
had very
really,
similar styles, and I really
yeah,
feel like they meshed well.
exactly. I
It
agree
was a
with you.
chess match the whole time.
Now I hope to see Alessio back because I enjoy seeing him fight. But Zach
Yes, very
Cummings,
good.
man, Zach Cummings is a very dangerous fighter.
I can't wait to see both those gentlemen back in the octagon. They're very entertaining.
Yeah.
Maki Pozzolo versus Impa Kasanaganga. Now, it was Impa's debut. I'm just going to say Impa from this point out. Goddamn. Round one, it was a very beautiful, good fight. Impa hits Maki with some huge combos. Maki hits Impa with some big combos. Impa lands with more power. It seems like Maki has a huge cut over his left eye and a good size hematoma over his right eye. That was really the deciding factor of the round for me. I had to give it to Impa just based on the damage that he was able to, give to Maki. Round two, Impa edges out Pozzolo in the round. He just more volume than anything. I feel like it was beautiful pace that he kept, and it seemed like Maki was slowing down in the round where Impa just kept the same pace he had in the very first round, and it really just seemed like it was getting bad for worse. Impa was just stalking Maki in the third round, landing huge pumps and then cutting off the cage. The most important thing that when he was doing it too is Maki would move to the left or the right side, and the way he would cut off throw a combination, cut him off again. It was just beautiful footwork, and you can tell that the endurance of Impa is just, out of this world, and it has nothing to do with Magny. Magny's got great endurance, but I just, when you have a guy like Impa, his size, his stature, and he's able to go the hard, consistent, 3 rounds, 15 minutes, it's crazy. Impa was landing some huge, big punches towards the end of the round as well. Impa, ends up getting the unanimous decision victory. To you, how impressive was this debuting fighter in his very first UFC fight?
Well, I feel like Impa is a cardio freak because out of his 8 fights, which are all wins, you have 6 of them going to decision. I feel like he had no issue going to decision because he enjoy putting pressure on the fighter. If they crack, they crack, but if they don't, he's still there, So I really feel like he's a 5-round fighter fighting in 3 rounds, so he can really go high level, high speed during those 3 rounds without any problem. Very impressive. Coco Bomb is no joke. Maki Pirolo is a great fighter. So for Impa to perform that well against him.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, for Impa to perform that well against Maki, very impressed by him.
Seriously, and what really impressed me the most was he fought like 3 weeks ago in the Contender Series. He just earned his UFC contract. Stepping in there with somebody who is very dangerous, like you and I pointed out. Coco Bombs has put people to sleep. He did it with huge body shots to win his contract on the Contender Series. He did it to Marlon Byrd when he, decided to join the middleweight division. He's looked very well. I'm excited to see what Impa is able to do. He seems like he might not be the biggest welterweight, but he definitely has, the power and the endurance to make up for his lack of size. And when I say size, I'm not talking about his build. That dude looks like he's chiseled from a stone. I'm talking about his height.
Yeah, I agree.
In the very first fight of the main card, Ricardo Lamas goes up against Bill Angelo in his debut fight. And when I tell you it was a debut fight against somebody who was such a veteran like Ricardo Lamas, you might think, it's going to be one-sided. But let me tell you what, this was the fight of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Ricardo's moving, he moved very well in the first round. It kind of reminded me of Ricardo Lamas of old, what we're used to seeing. He was landing strikes on all 3 levels of Angelo, head, body, legs. Angelo had his moments where he was landing big strikes on Ricardo as well, though Ricardo Lamas controlled the majority of the first round. In round 2, Lamas, secured a huge takedown and had Angelo's back. He was able to scramble back to his feet. Great scrambles by Angelo, too. Ricardo Lamas is not an easy guy to wrestle up against. And Angelo showed that he wasn't, scared. He wasn't going to back down. He has world-class wrestling of his own.
Yeah. Ricardo Lamas. I'm crazy, brother. Ricardo Lamas. I was surprised because I thought that maybe that's the fight that he was going to lose and maybe get even cut down,
I thought the same thing because, we've seen him go on this skid lately and he just didn't seem like himself. And really, like within the first 15, 20 seconds, I was like, oh, fuck, like this is Ricardo Lamas of old. Like the way he was moving, maybe he was injured before. And maybe that's a possibility, or maybe he, just his back, there was something bothering him. But the way he was able to move in this fight, it really seemed like it was almost a resurgence of his career. In the second round, Angelo takes down Lamas. Lamas is able to reverse the decision, works to get Angelo back to his feet. Angelo looked amazing in all the scrambles. Angelo won that second round, in my opinion. And the judges did not give him that round. Very upset about that. We'll talk about that in a second. Ricardo Lamas comes out strong in the third round. Both guys are landing good combos. Lamas decides to take the fight down. Was really the smartest thing he could have done at that point. He works in some beautiful ground and pound. Angelo gets up for a split second just to get slammed right back down by Ricardo Lamas. He gets up yet again, this time for Ricardo Lamas to drag him back down. Lamas finishes the fight in a very dominant position, having full mount on Angelo, pretty much just showing that he is the victor in this fight, finishing the fight with dangerous ground and pound. Ricardo Lamas wins the fight by unanimous decision. How impressed were you with the veteran? And also, how impressed were you with the rookie coming in and really taking it to him?
Well, to have a great fight, you have to have the two fighters perform well, because you can't have like one of them, because it will be just pure destruction. I was impressed by Ricardo Lamas, especially when it came to takedowns, because I feel like I thought that with the rhythm of his striking, he would not have like the energy to really take the fight to the ground. I was wrong. He performed very well. I thought that maybe with his age, maybe it's been a while since he's been fighting.
Yeah.
Maybe he will be, that will be the fight that he will lose. Well, I was wrong. He looked amazing. Bill Algeo, really, really, really great performance for a first UFC fight.
Yeah, super impressive. Ricardo Lamas significant strikes per round. He had 47 in the first round, 23 in the second, and 34 in the third, like you talked about, only getting better within that third round. It was super impressive. I can't wait to see Ricardo Lamas again. I can't wait to see him back in the octagon. I can't wait to see Bill Angelo. Both of these young men, well, Ricardo isn't that young anymore, but both these men really have piqued my interest, and I can't wait to see them fight yet again.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, the very next fight, Alexa Grasso looked very impressive against Ji Young Kim. Huge round for both of the fighters. Kim lands a ton of great jabs, but Grasso just lands some huge combinations throughout the round. I thought it was pretty even after the first one. Round two, Grasso really picks it up in this round, landing some huge combos back to back. Kim is starting to show signs of slowing down, while Grasso just keeps that same pace, landing at will. Grasso easily wins that round. Going into round three, Kim comes out pushing the pace, knowing she probably needs to get a finish because she was obviously behind on the scorecards. They both land some super clean shots. With 1 minute left, though, Grasso obviously did the smartest thing possible, lands a huge takedown, and stays in a very dominant position to finish the round. You know, a lot of people don't realize how important that is to finish the round strong. You always hear coaches saying, finish the round strong, finish it strong, because it's the last image that these judges see. And I mean, you've seen these judges, they half-ass it sometimes. Alexa Grasso comes out, looks beautiful, gets a unanimous decision victory. What do you think is next for Miss Alexa Grasso?
Well, Alexa Grasso been fighting against top contender for a while. I feel like that's what's next for her. She should be fighting against another top contender.
This is her first fight in the flyweight division. Do you think that she looks better as a flyweight than she does as a strawweight?
Well, I don't know, because the fact that she could took the fight to the ground, for me, is like Ji Young Kim is actually not that great, maybe of a grappler. And I feel like, and she's not that big also. She's not that big, so maybe Alexa. So I would not say that just with this fight that this is her division, because I wasn't really impressed by her performance.
Kim's takedown per defense is 42%,
which is not that good.
No, she is a dominant striker. Alexa Grasso obviously clearly had the speed advantage in the flyweight division. I'm excited to see what's next for her. This flyweight division obviously is really starting to heat up with girls coming from all different sizes. You know what I mean? 35 girls dropping down, 15 girls going up. I am super impressed. Jessica Andrade is also joining this division, so watch out for her. A lot of things going on in that division. Obviously, the only problem is you're dominated by the queen, Valentina Shevchenko.
I agree with you. Well, that wasn't the performance I feel like that Grasso needed. I feel like she needed to really dominate the fight. Yeah. She won, but it wasn't like pure domination. Maybe it will be good for her, the fact that she didn't win the perfect way, so that she go back directly to the gym and keep on working. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do when it comes to Alexa Grasso to get to that next level that she actually really wants to reach.
I think she'll be there eventually. She's really working well where she's at, and I think if she stays at that, you know, she trains with Irene Aldana, so those two are, you know, they work well together down there in Mexico. Iron sharpens iron, and also it's great to have another female there just to be able to help grind things out. And plus, Irene is already, you know, she's pretty much at the top of that 35-pound division. She's a win away from a title shot at this point, so you know she can, you know, kind of point her in the right direction on how to guide her way through this flyweight division.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In the co-main event, Robbie Lawler takes on Neil Magny, round one. For about 60 seconds, I thought we were going to see the old Robbie Lawler for that. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Ricardo Lamas and Robbie Lawler are back from the dead. and then he shot for a takedown. And it was pretty much all over from there. Magny reverses him, pretty much controls Robbie. Lawler was able to get to his feet. Magny just dragged him back down, finishing the round in a very dominant position. Like I said, super important. Round 2, both guys come out swinging, trading punches. Magny secures a takedown up against the fence. He takes Robbie's back, controls him with one hook in. I thought was super impressive. Magny rides that position for most of the round, consistently threatening with submissions and landing some pretty big strikes. Lawler, with a minute left, gets back on his feet. Magny controls him for the rest of the round, standing, landing some pretty solid strikes. In round 3, Robbie comes out, lands a big hook, and Magny immediately pulls guard. Probably the smartest thing possible, especially when Robbie Lawler's throwing huge hooks at you. Yeah. Just ask Rory McDonald.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Magny is able to hold Robbie in guard for long enough for the ref to stand him back up. Eventually, or every time Neil is able to work Robbie up against the fence, he works in some very good knees in the clinch, and it looked impressive. And obviously, it was part of his game plan that he kept wanting to do. Magny controls the striking aspect as far in the latter part of the round. Magny finishes the round really strong. He pretty much beat Robbie Lawler, the former champion, in a one-sided decision. For my question to you, what do you think is next for Robbie Lawler?
Well, a lot of people have been talking on social media about, maybe he will get caught, whatever. It's his he's on a 4-fight losing streak right now.
Yes.
Against just top contender, RDA, Askren, Colby, Neil. Again, in that Askren fight, he could have been gone either way because, it was a kind of messed up situation, but whatever. I'm not liking the way that he's getting dominated because he's the type of fighter that always put pressure. He's no longer putting the type of pressure that he's been known for. I'm not seeing also an evolution because when you see, for an example, Alistair Overeem is not fighting right now the same way that he'd been fighting when he was younger, which was like crazy striking. Now he's fighting more smart. I'm not seeing that in Robbie Lawler, which bothers me a lot because I don't want to see him just keep on losing fights, like winning 1 and losing 3. And that's not what I want to see. Definitely, he needs to do something if he wants to keep on fighting and keep on being in the UFC. There's something he needs to change. I don't know if it's his camp or whatever, but there's something that he needs to change.
Robbie Lawler threw 26 significant strikes through the entire fight.
Yeah,
that's damning to me when you think about it. 41 total strikes. We're talking about Robbie Lawler. That's usually one round for Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, he's just throwing random, like his strike is just throwing them. Usually it's like combination, and he always hits. He was
always, and he's very accurate.
Yeah, he's very accurate, brother. So to see him fight that way is not good because I feel like a top level Robbie Lawler would never lose to Neil Magny. Like never. You can bring Neil Magny on steroids. He can never beat Robbie Lawler, the top Robbie Lawler.
I want to stop you right there because it perfectly points out what I was going to talk to you about earlier. You have to, in my opinion, stop thinking about how bad Robbie Lawler looked in this performance and really think about how good Neil Magny looked in the perfect game plan that he brought into this fight. People want to talk about Robbie Lawler should be done. I don't think Robbie Lawler should be done. In my opinion, I just think Neil Magny was able to stifle the attack of Robbie Lawler. Neil Magny it had the most impressive performance, obviously, between the two. And in my opinion, I think a lot of people are taking the fact that Robbie is maybe a little over the hill and taking the win away from Neil Magny. In my opinion, I think we should be discussing Neil Magny more than we are, and I think that we should be giving that man a lot more credit. In my opinion, I think he just stifled the former welterweight champion of the world, and I think he did it in a very dominant fashion. He brought in the smartest game plan possible, and he went in there and did the damn thing. In my opinion, Robbie Lawler deserves a top 5 opponent next, Neil Magny, and I can't wait to see what he can do against somebody like a Colby Covington or Tyrone Woodley.
Well, this is where I disagree with you. I don't feel like a win against Robbie Lawler right now really give you that edge where you will be fighting a top 5 contender. Robbie Lawler, how ranked is Robbie Lawler actually? Or how was he ranked before this
I'm
fight?
not too sure. I'm pretty sure that these guys were right up there with the rankings.
Listen, Robbie Lawler been dropping on the rankings for a long time, so
At least top 15.
maybe. And so if you win against a guy who is ranked, let me see. Robbie was 14 and Magny was 13. I don't know if they
No, they just
uploaded.
updated that.
All right, okay. So he's 13. He cannot fight against a Masvidal or a Woodley.
Listen. Magny beats Dos Anjos. He beats Maya. Magny probably gives Michael Chiesco a run for his money. Where Magny runs into the problem is like the Pettis, Thompson, Davis. I don't think he has an issue with Tyron Woodley. I think he could probably give Colby Covington his run for his money. Leon Rocky Edwards, I think, beats everybody in this division not named Kamaru Usman. I mean, the welterweight division is very deep, and I think you guys have to start putting a little bit of respect on Neil Magny's name.
Well, styles make fights. I agree with you, but to say that he should be fighting at top 5 after a win over Robbie Lawler, for me, it doesn't make really sense.
What if Tyron Woodley loses in a couple of weeks to Colby Covington? That would probably drop him below 5.
Well,
he's 6
Woodley
right
6.
now. He'd probably drop to 8.
Do you see Magny deserving a fight against either Masvidal, Edwards, Colby, Burns, or Usman?
Usman, no.
Okay.
Masvidal, no.
Edwards is looking for a fight. Listen, if I'm Magny, Edwards doesn't have a fight. I would be trying to push that.
Anyone below Edwards, I'm fucking screaming his name.
Yeah. Because he's looking for a fight and nobody's really willing to fight him.
Last time he fought was against Rafael Dos Anjos forever ago.
Yeah, but before that he was fighting against Gunnar Nelson back when Gunnar Nelson was really, let's say, relevant. And yeah, he should be pushing for that fight.
How long ago was Donald Cerrone in the welterweight division?
Since forever. Like, I don't even remember.
That was 3 fights ago for Leon Rocky Edwards. He hasn't had a fight in almost a year now, probably even a little longer if I really looked at the card. It's crazy to think about that a top welterweight like that is having such a hard time finding a fight. It's weird.
And he needs to push for that fight because let me tell you, Vicente Luque is coming up, Hamzat is coming up. Those two guys, once they step in the ranking, good luck, because those two guys are straight killers and they will keep on killing people. So if I'm Neil Magny, I will call out every day Leon Edwards, even though, in my opinion, he doesn't really deserve that fight. But it is what it is. That's what you need to do.
Look good against Rocky, he'd still boost you.
Exactly.
In the main event, let's rewind that. In the main event, Anthony Smith takes on Aleksandar Rakic. Super important fight for the light heavyweight division, knowing that John Jones is gone. In the very first round, Rakic was landing huge lower leg kicks. It was beautiful. Ends up dropping Smith with those. Rakic gets the takedown, rides out the round on top, landing some very nice punches in guard. He didn't really try to pass his guard, but he landed some big strikes. Most puzzling thing to me in that first round is why Rakic didn't make Smith stand back up. I don't understand that.
I don't know either, but Rakic, man, his striking was so beautiful in this fight.
Yes, round 2.
He looked next level. He really looked next level. I really saw someone who actually deserves to be fighting for the belt.
Yes, and I've been screaming his name for a while because he's super impressive. Rakic, 100%. In round 2, Rakic and Smith both landing some very good strikes. Anthony Smith was getting the better of it, causing more damage. Rakic again works the takedown, sits in Anthony's guard while landing some big punches, and that's pretty much the whole round. Round 2, Rakic comes out, lands some big lower leg kicks yet again, compromising Smith's ability to put weight on his left leg. Smith works for a takedown, but gets reversed by Rakic. Rakic ends up getting the takedown. Rakic sits in full and half guard, landing some clean strikes from that position for a good part of the round. Eventually, he was just sitting there, just wailing strikes from his knees to Smith's thighs. It was probably one of the smartest spots. Anthony Smith decided to go into a turtle position, and it was really hard for Rakic to be able to get his arms, into an open spot where Smith was making it available. So he decided to switch up his game plan for a second and just throw some beautiful knees to Anthony Smith's thighs. Rakic pretty much sits in Smith's side control and rides out the rest of the round. Rakic played it smart. He did what he thought was the safest path to victory. Standing in front of somebody like Alex Smith isn't the smartest idea to do. A lot of guys have been knocked out in that situation. The biggest takeaway for me, though, is why he didn't look to finish the fight with those lower leg kicks. I thought Aleksandar Rakic had a finish in this fight. He just didn't take advantage of it. But he still gets a unanimous decision victory over Anthony Smith. Tell me, what was most impressive to you about the performance of Aleksandar Rakic?
Well, it was the smartest game plan that he could ever have, like hitting him in the lower parts of the body to really slowing Anthony Smith for the whole fight. I feel like maybe he didn't go for that for the finish when it comes to leg kicks. Maybe for once he didn't want to get checked or whatever when it comes to kick, maybe to not get hurt, or two, maybe he was a little bit hurt on his kick. And he didn't really want to push. I thought that
maybe he broke his toe in one of the kicks.
He does, or maybe he just wanted not to break his toe, which is either way it's smart because he was still dominating the fight, striking wise. There's no doubt that he won this fight.
Significant strikes, 44 for Rakic, 9 for Anthony Smith.
Yeah, and like you said, it, if it was a 5-round fight, the finish would have come.
Yes.
So can you blame him for not finishing the fight, even though he didn't take any risk and he really dominated the fight? No, I cannot blame him for that. No, Anthony Smith is the tough cookie. You cannot go at him trying to finish the fight and getting risk to get exposed. So he really did what he had to do, and he got that big victory.
Anthony Smith, for the second fight in a row, has really been dominated and outpowered by, the two light heavyweights that he faced, Glover Teixeira and Aleksandar Rakic this time. Do you think that it might be the smartest decision for Anthony Smith's career for him to return back to the middleweight division?
Well, I think that's the not smart thing that he did, and you even pointed out that last week, is how early he came back after that Glover Teixeira fight where he had his mouth destroyed and he got a lot
knocked out.
Yeah, and he had a lot of personal issues. Dude, it was just in May. Sit down, wait for September or October, or even in early 2021 or even by December. Yeah, I said last week that maybe he did that because he needed to win, because now that there's no champion, you need to win. But maybe that wasn't the smart move. His camp, really, I feel like he wasn't ready for this fight.
Yeah, it was an interesting situation. I feel like he should have taken a little more time off. He didn't. Yeah. He jumped right back in there. More power to him. I would have liked to see him take a little more time off. Aleksandar Rakic, though, looks amazing. Continues to ascend in this UFC light heavyweight division. What do you think could be next for the very, very powerful light heavyweight?
Oh, listen, brother. I'm not sure what the ranking is actually, so I'm just going to check that out very quickly. But
give me 20 seconds, I will have it up.
Definitely a top fighter. Definitely,
in the light heavyweight division, number one contender. Obviously, there's no champion. Number one contender is Dominic Reyes.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Thiago Santos. Number 3, Jan Blachowicz. Number 4, Glover Teixeira. And number 5, Aleksandar Rakic.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this one out there. I believe it was Glover Teixeira just came down with COVID, and his fight with Thiago Santos is in question. Aleksandar Rakic needs to do whatever possible to throw his name in that ring.
Yeah.
I will give you another person who should be throwing their name in that hat because he finished his fight very quickly and didn't take a whole lot of damage. Jiri Prokovic, I think, should also be throwing his. If they could take out Thiago Santos, who is the number 2 light heavyweight in the world, they can almost guarantee themselves the title shot against the winner of Blachowicz and Reyes in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you. We have Reyes against Blachowicz like it's locked down, so there's no issue in that. I agree with you. Rakic should be pushing for either Glover or Thiago Santos. And Jiri the same.
Well, listen, they were scheduled to fight in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Glover and Santos. I believe it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
I'm not sure.
Now I've got to look it up. But I'm pretty sure it's here. It's in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They need to throw their name in that hat. I really feel like one of those 2 men with the victory, especially even Jiri, coming from Risen, having that background. Oh, sorry, it's next week. Ooh. Maybe a little hard to get that fight in. But I'm just saying, they could reschedule in a couple of weeks.
They can.
It's an option.
It was a tough 3-round fight, even though he dominated the fight. So maybe he needs to rest a little bit, Rakic. But definitely he should be fighting. I would love to see him against Dominic Reyes. I really believe this will be a fun fight. Is it what's next for him? I'm not sure, but I would love to see that. That's the fight I really want to see.
I wouldn't mind to see him against Jiri as well.
Well, but that's a fight that Jiri actually would be even better for him because Jiri is ranked below him. And I don't think that after this performance against Anthony Smith, he should be fighting against someone who is ranked below.
I believe those 2 have already fought as well, so there's a little bit of history there.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun. Either way, Rakic, a great fighter, and I really hope to see him fight for the belt against. For me, the perfect fight for the belt would be him against Dominic Reyes.
Ooh, beautiful fight, those 2.
Yeah.
Now that pretty much wraps it up for UFC Fight Night. Smith versus Rakic. If you guys give us a second, we're going to have another video out for you. Overeem versus Sakai is taking on this Saturday. Can't wait. Anything else for you for Fight Night Smith versus Rakic? Most impressive person for you. Give me 2 very impressive people.
I will give, you know what? I will give you 4. I will give you the 4 fights, the 4 first fights, because those submissions actually, those fights really got me hyped up for
Mallory
the whole card.
Martin, Polyana Viana, Sean Brady, and Alex Caceres all looked phenomenal. I have to agree with you.
All the 4 of them.
Impa, I think, was the most impressive for me. Ricardo Lamas, the way he was able to just show us that he's still here. And I was impressed by Alexa Grasso, even though you might not be. And Neil Magny, I think he deserves a lot more credit than he's getting.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But that about wraps it up for us, guys. UFC Fight Night Smith versus Rakic was very good. Overeem versus Sakai does not seem like it's going to disappoint. Stay classy, knuckleheads.
Peace.